Yes, welcome to Sex on the Bridge. Good night, Happy New Year, everything. But of course, it's me, dancehall queen Carlene, the original, and I'm bringing to you your weekly dose of grown, sexy radio content. Nowhere else but the Bridge 99 FM on a Tuesday at 10 p.m. It's the only place you need to be. We made it through to 2023. I'm saying it with a smile because I'm professional, but it's really not what I really want to do. I just want to start off by asking all who's on the live in studio with me to give me a moment to silence for my nephew, Joe Mercer, Joseph Marley. Thank you. They had his memorial today the start of what's to happen today in Florida. And, it's very sad. It's very, very sad for me. But I'll move on to something else. I hope you guys missed me because I missed you. I did. I missed you. I miss Danelia and I miss my cute dread technician. Yes, I miss coming to work. Kevin definitely. Kevin, Mr. Williams. I do know my engineer's name. I was just waiting to. Yeah. So I miss you guys. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. 2022 was a good year and a sad year, a bad year, a happy year, a progressive year, a non-progressive year. It has a lot for me. It was a mixed. I have it as, unique, crazy, different. I just want to thank all the persons who supported my cakes. Yes, and slow wine.
Still upset. Never get none of the
I was
cake.
to bring you one. Anyways,
Never get none of the cake, Jamaica.
good night, Lorraine. That's my sister. Good night to Yana. That's my niece who's here. She came down, and I also want to send condolences to Idonia and his wife, Kimberly, for the passing of their son. Yes, I was at the funeral. It was bittersweet. Sweet that it was refreshing to hear 9 years old and he had already achieved so much and his behavior was of a little Jenna. A little Jenna, and there were so much happy things I heard. I didn't know him personally, but I got to learn of him at the funeral. I just want to say, Kimberly and Idonia, all the best. And at this time, you do need your privacy, and I know you do need people. It makes a difference. My nephew's in the hospital, Elijah Reed. Get well soon, my baby. I can't wait for you to come home. I miss you. I want to send out a hello to my friend, Elsie. Yeah. Modern girl trained. Trust me, I have great big support. There's a lot, but you just want to take the time out. Don't wait till it's too late to tell people you love them, big them up, thank you. The holiday was a great time for people to spend with loved one, not necessarily only family, because I say the family can be the friends you choose. Because sometimes we have family, we didn't choose them, that we just come with them. That don't mean we have to love them and, accept them. But guys, if you can do, I want to big up Caterpillar Shanice for winning the Mecca Dancehall Queen competition on Saturday. And I can't remember the girl, she's from Spain for the international part of it. Congratulations, guys. I want to big up Sanjay and Mecca Dance Studio. It was an excellent production. Latanya, Mad Michelle, Dr. Donna Hope, Kiva, and all who supported the event. I was one of the judge. So it was excellent. I just want to big up that and say, yeah. All right, over the holiday, I did a lot of baking and cooking. Don't kill me, Andre. I still have cake for you. I was going to bring it when we're going home and make sure I give it to you.
Awesome.
I promise. All right. Remember, guys, I also was awarded, yes,
Lifelong award.
Icon Award from the MECA, which is different from MECECCA. Yeah, so lucky I'm part of two Meccas. I don't know how it comes, but I am. I want to thank the Whirlwind Entertainment Group, Mr. Michael Dawson, and Mecca Nightclub for thinking I was worthy enough to award me. I also got an award from the release. Yes, I did. And it's nice when you get these things, Andre, while you're alive, and you know you put the work in, and people see it fitting to give back. It's always great. So thank you again. But as usual, this is an adult content show. So guys, if you're under 18, please take your little tipper top toes to your bed. All right, it's not time for you tonight. I'll see you at Ring Ding or Sesame Street or something. But anyways, 18 and older. If you're not, go to your bed. In the studios with me, and of course, you know, please remember to follow at the Bridge 99 FM on IG and on YouTube to catch up on all your favorite SOB episodes from last season. You can rewatch them. And you can follow me, Dancehall Queen Carlene, on IG to keep up with what I'm up to. Not, you know. All right, the conversation tonight is about mental health. In studio with me, drum roll for my handsome, beautiful, exciting, trendy, special, caring, loving warrior. Yeah, when you talk about the maroon warrior in him to defend his people, yes, this is where you crown him. I want to welcome with me tonight, Andre Stevens.
Blessings, greetings, and salutations to the Bridge FM, to the producer and to the engineer. I am definitely here, happy to be in studio on this Tuesday night to discuss something that is very thought-provocative, because many times you just speak about sex, but you leave out the other elements of sex.
True.
And mental health is a issue that I speak on because I am not just an advocate of mental health. I'm a survivor of mental health. And 6 years ago, Carlene, the world might not be aware, but that's when I had my first episode.
All right. You know, they're waiting to hear. So before we get into it, I want to introduce to you my other guest, Carla. Carla? Hi, beautiful.
Yes,
welcome. Yeah, she's now resident magistrate to Sex on the Bridge. Thank you, my. I haven't met her in person yet, though, Carla. We're gonna have to definitely arrange that.
We're fixing that this year.
This year,
it cannot continue.
Yeah,
it's
it cannot.
off to
No,
fix.
I mean, I don't mind a long distance affair, you know, because I'm having one already. But you know, it's hard to keep having 2 and 3. So please make it be that it's in person, right?
I will bring ours closer to home.
All right. You know, this is a very broad area, and of course, guys, we're not experts, but we're, as Andre said, he's a survivor, and I had to live with that with my mother. Yes, my mother. And sometimes, because we're not taught certain things, and everything is kind of, especially in Jamaica. In the States, you know, there's a category for everything. Here in Jamaica, I'm mad. Full stop. Or when a child is not as regular as every other, oh, I'm rude, I'm dunce.
True.
I'm bad. I'm not here. I'm head tough. You know, so it's not categorized here in Jamaica as much as it should. And I think that's one of the problems we're having so far.
It's a bigger issue than that.
Go ahead.
When you think of mental health, when you hear, oh, I'm suffering from a sign of depression, I'm suffering, or he's bipolar, he's schizophrenic, he suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. It is something that puts you in a space that stigma and discrimination is a must.
Yep.
And we must agree that for years, Jamaica and Jamaicans and the government, we have never dealt with the issue of mental health holistically.
What do you mean by that? Just for who's listening.
Carlene, we have schools. We know a lot of our children are suffering from their various diagnostics. But does the Ministry of Education have enough resources
I
to
don't think they do.
diagnose our
Everybody.
students daily?
Or when they see like a
The
special,
signs.
right?
It is not enough. Carlene, how we talk about mental health, have we looked at how many mental health institutions is in our country? Just one hospital?
One hospital, and then you have Ward 21
that
at
can
the
only
university.
accommodate.
I can tell you, and they don't have enough beds always. I had somebody up there recently, and they had to stay in the emergency for 2 days because there was no bed. And when I asked for the person to be transferred to Bellevue Hospital said they had no beds, and they don't know when they're going to get a bed, because unless somebody came out, you can come in.
So we don't have enough resources to deal with those who are mentally challenged. And there's another issue that we're not looking at. Many societies after COVID had departments and agencies set up to deal with the issue of chronic depression. In COVID, a lot of people suffered from depression, loss of income,
Lots of partners, just being locked
family
up,
members dying,
and being locked up. Couldn't
just
go
being
outside.
locked up. Remember that many people are used to hustling, and you have to be caged in, locked in. A lot of
Day-to-day, hand to
people.
mouth.
So many Jamaicans live from hand to mouth, and the truth be told, when you look at a situation that, boy, me can't go out because government say you have to stay in. But you don't have no food, you can't eat no food, you can't do certain things. It's really, it's
Going to drive you to something else.
So, depression, chronic depression is something that affects many people. Carlene, last week we heard of a case in Mandeville that one man killed his wife.
And his child.
Then he killed himself. No, he never killed the child.
Oh, there was another
The
one.
Utah one you're talking
Right.
about. Then there was a police in Hanover
That killed himself.
that killed himself because of the allegations of extramarital affairs that the woman was having. Then we heard about the case in Utah in America,
7 children.
where 7 people were killed. 8 people were killed
Killed himself.
because the man never come to the reality that a divorce was coming up on him.
And had no way how to
Of
share
expressing
this.
himself.
Yes.
Carlene, men on a whole, right across Jamaica and across the globe, we don't talk about the issue of depression. Men don't know how to release their stress. Men don't know how to talk about what they're facing. Men don't know how to say, boy, this has happened to me and
Help.
it's affecting me.
Help.
So when we're drowning, we don't know how to say help.
Yeah.
Not a lot of men are expressive as I am. And the truth is, even those who are expressive sometimes, when the situation is a situation that they're embarrassed about, or they feel as though they don't have anybody else to talk about the situation, what happens? They cocoon themselves, them limit themselves, and when they limit themselves, what happens? Boy, suicidal thoughts come upon them. The thoughts of depression, the thoughts that them can't get out. So what they turn to? Go hang themselves. Go kill the lover.
And also where that's stemming from, it's how we, our boys especially, are
It's
raised.
socialized.
Not
And it's
raised to say, don't cry. Don't, ya gal, what ya chat
And the
about?
socialization.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, I am socialized that, boy, when you have a problem, you must just stick with the problem. Can't be like that. We don't express to people that, boy, there is a challenge, and because we have this challenge, we need to deal with it.
Yes.
If me talk fathers, many fathers out there, you see a little boy a ball at age 3 and age 4, you slap him and you beat him up. You can't, you're sissy,
like
you're
girl.
this, you're that, and whatsoever. And we have lived that life. We have lived that trauma. Many people, and I'm going to say this to you, there's a lot of, you see, sexual identity and there's an identity crisis in Jamaica that affects many young people. And that
They can't
crisis
be themselves.
affects them to the point that they even commit suicide or
yeah,
become
'cause-
suicidal.
and
Imagine,
withdrawn and just cut
and
off from people because
imagine-
they can't express who they are.
Imagine, Carlene, you have a lot of young men who struggle with being homosexuals, and it's just the truth, and they have never been able to come out to their parents and talk the truth that they have a particular preference. And if they speak that truth,
Oh my gosh.
mother beat them,
I know,
papa disown them,
yeah,
them run
don't
them
want
out of the
nobody.
house, and them deal with them so badly.
Yeah. Okay.
So it is something that affects many people, and we don't want to talk about it, but the truth is, Carlene, you have a child who has a particular preference. You throw out that child. You disown that child. That child doesn't have any friends, and even if they have friends, them have friends who are
Wrong company.
LGBTQ,
probably wrong company.
and possibly wrong company.
'Cause they're
That
looking,
friend,
they're
we
looking
have,
for it.
we have heard so many stories of them throw out a house, them go live in a the gully, Carlene. They become
throw it to the
HIV
community.
positive.
They throw it to the community.
No
not just
care
their
and
house.
protection. So them not have access to
They
health
can't be
care.
themselves.
They have no access to housing and social amenities. And this is happening right across Jamaica.
Yes. I also want to tell you that I don't know if you know of the little girl in Montego Bay from Montego Bay High School that hung herself.
But it's not just the Montego Bay High School.
No, just because that one is recent.
Yeah. But look at in October last year, the 12-year-old
Yes.
who committed suicide in Westmoreland
Yes.
because of dysfunctional parenting.
Yeah.
Dysfunctional parenting, and that child hung himself.
Yeah.
The suicidal rate has risen exponentially in the last 3 to 4 years. And if you look across the globe at the suicidal rate and the mental health crisis,
Definitely.
if you
Tripled
look
up.
at the issue of chronic depression that so many people, Carlene, on average, when I finish my YouTube program sometimes, I get a call about 3 to 4 people each night facing depression.
What do they do next? And the fact you're off now is like,
What they do next? Today a woman called me, boy, Mr. Stevens. I don't know how to deal with my husband. Him not giving no attention, him not giving no care, him not giving no affection.
and she can't just go to her next man because he probably
And
want to
she
kill
is
her.
still caught in a web that she says she love him dearly. To the point where she knows saying, Carlene, when she said it to me, I said, wow. She's wondering if she should turn to a woman.
Oh Lord. And again, this is even unfair to a woman who is let's say a lesbian, because here is this confused woman just doing this. So halfway
Just to find
to find the
love.
love that she's looking, not necessarily is what she wants. So halfway being involved with this lady who is, full gay. She comes in there thinking she wants to be gay, and halfway realize this is not what.
That's not what she wants, but at
And
the
so
time,
there's a
she
broken
wanted a
woman
void.
also. She wanted that gap to be filled. Carlo?
How are you?
Yes.
Hi.
I know this part of it is your expertise.
Yeah. You mean in terms of like sexual minorities?
Gender.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we're thinking about mental health and we're thinking about how that overlaps with sexual identity and gender identity, there are a lot of things that come up, and a lot of it is very problematic, and a lot of it is rooted in stigma and discrimination, right?
Right.
Because sometimes people will say, every now and again, you get this narrative coming out in the news that, oh, the violence in the LGBT community, it's really the LGBT people doing it to themselves, And this type of narrative comes up. First of all, it's a lie. But second of all, I think that people really need to be honest with themselves about what it's like to be an LGBT person in an LGBT relationship. Imagine being in a relationship and you can't hold your partner hand. Or you can't go to a supermarket, go walk up and down with the shopping cart openly because people might have said something. Imagine coming up in a space where your family may not be physically abusing you, but they are verbally harming you. All of these things are impacting your mental health, and that's going to show up inside of your relationship, right? So you're not being affirmed. You are not being accommodated. You're not being accepted. You can't access some of the things that you need that is going to affect your mental health and it's going to show up in your relationship. There's going to be a lot of stress in your relationship. And when they do research on the Jamaican LGBT community, they found that like 45% of them had in their lifetime, at some point in their lifetime, experienced major depressive disorder. 26% were abusing alcohol, like 13% were abusing weed, which is what happens when people are trying to escape.
Right.
And you can tie these things back to sexual health as well, right? Because as Andre was talking about, HIV and all of these things, if somebody is engaging in escapist behaviors where they're high or they're drunk, they're not in their right mind in the decisions that they're making. And that's going to affect your sexual health, right? And so a lot of times when people are like, oh, sexual health and mental health, what are these two things? And sexual health and mental health, I think, are two of the things that are the least talked about because they're taboo. People don't like to talk about sex. People don't like to talk about mental health. And so the two of them, we would have want put them up in a one back room and hide them. But we have to talk about them because they're so big, so formative, and they're so intertwined.
And you see, as Andre said earlier on, a lot of it starts from kids.
The socialization.
Right?
Yeah.
You have a child, usually as parents, we do know who is what. And we tend to want to change that child. Oh no, stop playing with the dolly. You go kick a football. And as him say, yeah, ball like your gal. Instead of ask why the child is crying and help the child to express the reason why he or she's crying. Also, you see the girl and she's wearing her pants, insist to wear pants, and boy
She
like
wants to play football.
Yeah.
She could be the greatest speller.
Yeah.
Oh no, no, you have to go to ballet or do some, put your hair in ribbons.
But then again,
Yeah.
society has created an identity of what it truly means to be a man and what it truly means to be a woman.
Right.
And that status quo has been established for years. And if you don't work within that status quo, you're seen as an alien.
Yeah, I've heard a
And
lot of
then
people.
you're brought to the pastor for pastor to pray for you and deliver you and lick it out of you. And the truth
gay
is,
away.
a lot of pastors have children who are,
What are you talking about? A lot of pastors are.
Lord Jesus.
Yes. And
Carlene, nobody call them out. Mind them go create religious excursions probably in the night. Yeah. And remember, we're going to be in a Carlene. No bother with the bangarang tonight. Make them steer. Mighty God.
Western Jamaica, so I'm very close to the source. I'm in the West. I'm very
a lot
close
of them.
to it.
We're gonna go on the bangarang break right now. We'll be right back. Bangarang, Sex on the Bridge. Welcome back to Sex on the Bridge with me, Carlene, the original dancehall queen. And tonight, my special guest is Carla Moore, gender specialist, life coach. She's on Zoom. And in studio with me is Andre Stevenson, my very good friend, advocate, people president, this, that. Trust me, mental health survivor, everything. But to be a part of the show, you can send me a voice note, 876-551-5782, or you can call in to tell us, anything you want, be a part of the show. 876-676-4996. I'm going to throw back to Carla. Carla, as we were talking about mental health with sex, the link to sexual health, how we can see the two being one, and although they're separate, but they still link back. Carla?
Yeah. So as I was preparing for this show, I came across some information that I thought was very interesting. So a lot of times you'll hear people say, everybody have depression nowadays, my love. Everybody have anxiety. Everybody have mental health issue. Everybody have mental health issue, right? Well, they did some research in 2020, and the research is showing that there is less sexual activity happening now than in any generation before. We are the least sexually active, the generation right now.
Wow.
And the reason for that is the rise in anxiety and depression. Because both anxiety and depression can cause your libido to go down. Anxiety causes an increase in cortisol in the body. Cortisol suppresses the hormones, the sex hormones. And depression does the same thing, decreases the libido. So we cannot ignore the link between sex and mental health, because your mental health will literally determine whether or not you want a sex life, the quality of the sex life you have, whether you're able to connect with people. If you have depression, there's a possibility you won't be able to have an orgasm. It's as deep as that. For people who have anxiety, women who have anxiety, it gets to the point where sex can become painful for them because they're so anxious. So that link between sex and mental health is so deep.
And what just from your point of view, what advice would you give anyone who's going through that decrease in sexual activities with mental health issues? Because it's one thing for us to say, yes, me not feel sexy because I don't feel like having sex, because not knowing that it's something wrong in my head. But what are some of the signs?
I think one of the things that you can look out for is you don't have a desire to have sex where you used to.
Right. Well, sometimes when we're broke, that happened to you, Carla.
Yeah, but then yes, sometimes when you're broke, your mental health is dug into the drain. Hello, when you doesn't have no money, sweetie, your mental health is in the trash.
Right.
So we can look at that, and we not take them things that serious. We'll say, oh, so my broke, I can't get turned on right now. Because you're broke, you're depressed, baby. That's why nothing now go on. Right? Nothing is pulsating. Another thing is
there's other reports that I'm sure that will equate to say that despite not having an interest to become intimate with another person, there's been an increase in people having sex with themselves, masturbation.
Well, I don't know any reports saying that, but I don't doubt that it's happening. Because people have more access to toys, and there's a lot more information available on the internet about it. But also what they found is that because people are so busy in their phones, they're not engaging in sexual activity as much anymore either.
But the people, as I'm saying to you, Carlene, when people stress, and the urge come, them just want a quick release.
Right. So you have that other thing where somebody will just have sex with somebody because that's the urge. They're not wanting a commitment.
And that is why I'm sure during COVID, sex toys places see a huge surge in sex toys, the little vaginas and all of those things, the little things being bought, the rose, that kind of a thing, because you're going through a depression, but you still have that point where you want to be stimulated, because even though the cortisons are what you said, Carla, is
the cortisol,
is down. The natural urge of the body is still to get a stimulation, to get high, move on, and go on. Because
in some instances, but if it's somebody with depression, then it's possible that they won't, because they would be so subdued that the urge to.
I can relate to what Carla is saying, because I have two friends and they went to this eye too. And when I was wondering what, she was depressed and she felt like everything that was wrong was wrong. She kept even saying she didn't look good and she was perfect looking to me. That's
the other thing I was going to say, is that another thing you can look out for is that your self-esteem is tanking. You're starting to nitpick at your body. You don't like the way you look. You don't think that your partner is attracted to you, even when they're displaying to you that they're attracted to you. You can't believe them. And then depression can cause a person to have very low energy. So sometimes it come down to, me not have the energy if you come up. Please don't ackle my body tonight. I want to go and take a nap. And then that's the other thing, like anxiety. Anxiety burn you out. Like if you have anxiety, if you go to the supermarket, your brain and yam, and by the time your brain done yam, no, I want to go home and wrap up in velvet and sleep. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. True. And me attack from experience. Do not touch me.
True.
How did you cope with
like that?
I'm gonna get to Andre too, because I know he started to tell us something. But how did you cope with your depression? How did you, just for another female or male out there who understand that you're a beautiful woman?
Oh, thank
you. If you don't mind.
I'm beautiful.
Yes, you are very beautiful.
Thank you.
So if you don't mind, as I tell you, doing this show all the time, I'm hoping that if we even reach one person to change their life or make a difference, to say, well, I was going through this and here it is, this beautiful young lady saying she did, and she, how if you're okay with it.
Yeah. So my journey with depression has been long. You know, I ran the gamut, including like what Andre was talking about, suicidal ideation and stuff. I think it was like trying to figure out how to solve the depression itself. Like the sexual thing was a secondary thing. It was how to figure out how to solve the depression. So the therapy and the journaling and the self-care and trying to find the roots of the trauma. But like recently, I started antidepressants. And that has shifted things for me so significantly. And when me say start recently, Carlene, me mean like since me I just started me start compound that show, yeah. Like in like 2 months ago I started it because I realized that I had hit a point
And
that
hold on,
all
what
that I
was the
could do.
signs that made you understood that you were depressed? Because it's one thing for us
So
to say
no joy,
something.
no joy. Nothing made me happy. And if I was happy, I would say to people that my happiness feel like it's in a one sieve. Like I can't hold it. You will have this brief moment of joy and then it's just gone. And everything feels like a burden. So even if somebody would come to you and say, oh, here's an opportunity, you know, some people want you to come do a talk or something like that, you're briefly like excited and then your brain just starts to tell you all of the things. Oh, you have to go find things for wear and you have to go find things to talk about. And suppose the people not like you and all of these worst case
And when
scenarios.
did this start for you? When you recognize that this problem started for you?
I've been depressed for years. So, I mean, I'm 40 now and I've been depressed from I was in my 20s. When when I came to the realization that I had to do something different because I've been in therapy and
All
all
right,
of those
hold on.
things.
Did something
Mhm.
trigger that off? Did anything
The depression.
significant s- that you
So
can
I
recall?
think like you, so it's just like different life experiences. For me, like experiencing sexual assault. So if we talk about sex and mental health, there's that. Sexual assault, like being a survivor of sexual assault, leaves you with this weight that you're walking with, and that becomes persistent depression.
Wow.
Um, I think my body, like being big body, being chubby, and even though on the one hand you're confident, on the other hand, you know the things that people think about you, and you have to walk with the weight of that. Um, you know, different types of things that you have to deal with bring it up. But I think the root of my depression and my anxiety actually goes back to being assaulted and losing that sense of safety or control in the world. And then that kind of trickles out into everything else, including my sex life.
All right. And so you recommend that people stop saying, "Oh, I don't want to be addicted to pills," or
Stop that. Stop it. Yes. I went through that. Like for people who are going through it, I understood because for me, I was like, you're trying to tell me you can't get through life on your own? Like you have to take a pill every day to go through life? Like why is your brain like that? I take a pill every day for high blood pressure and I don't feel any way about that.
exactly
So
people
why
with
should I feel any
cancer
way
or
about taking the
AIDS.
pill for depression?
Yeah.
Exactly. And if I had known a year ago, 10 years ago, that I could feel this good in myself, that like my brain could not feel like it was under a rock and I could actually enjoy just being alive, I would have started them from like the early 2000s.
What,
I 10 out of 10 would recommend.
if you don't mind, what pill are you on?
I take Paxil. Paxil
Paxil.
CR
I
is the
know
one I
that one.
take. Yeah. And I've been lucky because it agrees with my body. So I like, Carly, this is the best I've felt since I was a child.
Wow.
This is the best I've felt since I was a
Did you
child.
go to a psychiatrist or
Yes. My psychiatrist's name is Jordan Eaton. He is fantastic.
is he good looking?
Oh, he is cute.
Oh, no, I
Yes.
have Ryan. I'm all right.
It's fine. Yes. And it does help in the sessions that he's easy to.
Oh, I want to thank you for sharing so openly and candidly
Okay.
because it makes a difference when people can relate. No, I know Andre from year to year to year, where I
Yeah.
watch his development, I watch his outbursts, I watch his I wouldn't say hiding,
Yeah.
because sometimes you don't see what you're doing till somebody else sees it. And I watch him from going to a very high position job, yes, coming up to me in his suit with his attache case, working with, he can say who, and I watch him go through that step, and then I watch him plunged,
Yeah.
and he's going to tell me the different stages.
Well, you know, you go through different phases in life, and many of them you wonder how you end up here. You shouldn't be there. You should be at the pinnacle of your life. When you see other people who are not equally as competent or gifted as you on the
He's a bad
pinnacle.
designer, guys. I don't know if you all know this. Continue.
And I said to myself, it hit me that when friends betray you and people neglect you, how do I overcome this? And I remember crying nights and day about it. But there's a point that I say, all right, Andre, damn them. Pick up yourself and let us move on. Pick up yourself and move on. And you did so much. There's a voice speaking back to you. You do so much and you really want to move on. You really going to move on, Andre, after you invest so much time and waste so much time. You never even go finish up university because you made so much sacrifices for people to be where they are. Those voices were coming back. Those voices spoke, and I'm like, stop, me now focus on that. Let me try pick up the piece. But in trying to pick up the piece, you're discouraged daily. Because the things that you had access to, you no longer have access to them because you become a normalized citizen again. You have to take bus. You have to make taxi man and loader man disrespect you. You have to go through a system that you're not really used to.
Mm-hmm.
And in all of that, you had your encounter. And I had a spiritual encounter. And
You
that
can share
spiritual
with me.
encounter, 6 years ago, I encountered one night in Halfway Tree. And I don't want to scare the listeners and viewers, but you see, when you talk about spiritual wickedness in high places, these things are all across the globe. And it happened to me. And the following morning, I was naked.
What happened to you, if you don't mind?
Put it this way, Carlene. I encountered... You see, not many people are at that level for me to explain it explicitly.
I understand it.
But
I've seen it before, so I understand it.
the spirit world exists. And in that spirit world, I encountered all the things that the Bible speak about. The warlocks and the sorcerers.
Okay.
And that was a very deep moment. But in that moment, I now realized or started to appreciate who I am, my value, my worth. And that is when they carried me up to the university hospital and them say, oh, what he's talking about is too deep. He needs to be monitored. You know, them always say you have to monitor them first. So I went into Ward 21 expecting that I would probably spend 2 or 3, 4 days, and I spent over 90 days. They said that, oh, chemical imbalance, and yes, he's bipolar manic. And, you know, with bipolar disorder comes a bit of depression. Sometimes you're high, sometimes you're low. But in all of it, I appreciated that journey because I found out who I am with that experience, and it equally gave me an opportunity to understand how to manage this. Because one thing I appreciate about my brain, Carlene, I don't know how many people do have that gift, but I can master 10 things at one time.
Okay.
And with that gift, you will not even know that I am at somewhere else doing something.
Right.
But it puts me at a place that I say, okay, once I take my medication, I will be seen as normalized. I won't need to go to Ward 21 because, you know, with manic, there comes sometimes a manic depression and you can become too high. And with that, they'll say, oh, him off now, him off. So, like last year when I started to go viral across Jamaica, my psychiatrist called, oh, no. Something is wrong. But they don't understand that with all that is the chasing thoughts and everything that is happening, I have to just naturally express it.
Right.
Because if I don't express it, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to design it. I'm going to cook it. I'm going to do something. But I have to just express it.
Right.
So I just said to myself, I'm not take no injection, And I called my family doctor and I said, if it comes to the point, because my mother at the time decided, him really need to be carried in because these are signs of what we saw 5 years ago. So I'm saying, okay, but eventually everybody ignore me, family disown me, people left me, people decide, him really mad now, him really gone back this or so. A lot of people say, the narrative that certain people in government paint of him that, he has a mental health struggle. Yeah, man. But then I never stopped. I never stopped talking. I never stopped
It didn't change
going
anything.
because at the point, people realize that he's not mad.
Right.
Him actually speaking sense. Him actually making sense. Him reasoning solid. And I remember recently a woman who is totally anti-Andre Stevens called me in December. And she said to me, brethren, you see, all of uptown Jamaica, you were somebody that we were told to blacklist. But I'm going to tell you right now, brother. You see, if I want justice to be served in this country, all of uptown Jamaica is tuning in your program for you to split justice and talk justice. She said, Andre, we all had you as a madman.
Because you spoke the truth.
And I'm
or
saying
what other people wouldn't talk about.
I am saying, and this is a situation with a lot of people.
And definitely how you spoke the truth.
How I spoke it, but
Yeah.
this is a truth that a lot of people don't appreciate. You might have a family member talking jigsaw, but if you give them time to
It will make
express
sense.
themselves, if you give them time to show what they're talking about, it might be something that can solve a puzzle. Carlene, when I was at War 21, it wasn't your age group. It wasn't the ones in the 50s and the 60s
No,
that
it's
I
young
saw.
people, very-
It was people young as me and even younger
Yeah.
who have visions, who have thoughts. Many who are in med school, many who are in law school, many who are in university or they're in the army or police, many professionals. But the truth is, there are many forms of mental health struggles and people don't appreciate. And we don't talk about it much. But if there is another Andre Stevens that is willing to talk about something that he experienced 5-6 years ago, are you going to shut down that person? We have shut down many of
'Cause they
them
don't
to the
understand.
point, Carlene, that they reach to an extreme. They reach on the road. They become
They just give up.
homeless. They give up, and guess what?
Some turn
That
to
is
drugs.
when they turn to a life of alcohol. They turn to
Marijuana.
the life of drugs, crack, cocaine, marijuana, molly, this,
Probably
that,
everything,
rated.
pills, all
And
different.
I am saying to you people, I find myself unique.
You definitely.
Here's why I say I find myself unique. With all that I was experiencing, I never turned to drugs. I never turned
Alcohol.
to alcohol. I never
Sex.
turned to sex.
Right.
At that point of my life struggling, I abstained. I want to feel for little thing. I got jerk off and move on. It's human for you to want to get an arousal. Jerk off, move on and continue.
Why did you feel like you should abstain though? What,
Carlene.
Yes.
Nobody wants to be associated with somebody who is known publicly to have mental health struggle. So a lot of my friends and people who I kind of had like that common shade of intimacy, let me like, Dre, I can't be associated with you. I had friends who I could reason with, friends that I could call on, friends who I could sit up and say, I could go eat a fish because I don't drink. I could go eat a fish or something. When I look through my WhatsApp, blocked, ticks, blocked, family members, blocked, close associated political business people, blocked. And I said to myself, I cried, you know. There are nights that I cry, you know. And I said, why me did I have to come talk? But there is a spirit that reminds me, your mission is bigger than what it is appears right now. So, years to come, a few years to come,
No, right now.
but they will understand
No,
that.
they understand right now. Believe me. That's why you're here tonight.
Well,
You're not just here to talk. It's because what you have said matters.
Carlene, what I would want for Jamaica to do, and Christopherton, I see you making efforts. Christopherton, good night, sir. I see you making efforts, but only your best is good enough. One wellness bench for photo ops naga work. You know, Carlene, if we have 200 schools, it's easy for a wellness bench to be erected in their schools.
Yep. In each school.
So each school, each primary school, we should have been creating a template of putting together a prototype for wellness benches. Equally, a lot of young people graduating from universities don't have jobs. But what about some programs that them can go in and be mental health coaches in our primary and high schools?
And be paid for it.
And be paid for
They
it.
would want to offer it to them and it's free.
Yeah, but pay them for some time to
Yes.
go into some schools.
they had to pay to
Because
go
here
into
is the truth. If you don't have, Carlene, the physical infrastructure to identify issues of ADHD, ADD, and
AHD.
all of these things, Carlene,
It's mental.
what about finding all of those nurses that is graduating from UAU Tech and NCU and placing them to become rapporteurs in the system to identify people or students suffering from the issues surrounding mental health so they can be treated accordingly?
On that mental health part, we're going to take a break from Sex on the Bridge. I'll be right back. Ooh, yes, the studio is hot. Welcome back to Sex on the Bridge with me, Carlene, the original dancehall queen. And I have in studio with me Andre Stevens and Carla Moore on Zoom. And of course, you know, to be a part of the show, you can send me a voice note, 876-551-5782, or you can call in 876-676-4996. I just want to talk about mental illness, of course, especially with public figures, because people tend to think you're a public figure, you know, you shouldn't display certain things. And if you do, oh, why should you do this? We have a lot of, especially in the entertainment industry, a lot of people fighting with themselves because they can't be true to themselves because they're going to be bashed for it until they just have a full meltdown. I want to big up Conscience and, of course, condolences to his brother Dulles, who I met personally and knew, and he committed suicide. And I knew Conscience was trying to do a platform for years of helping back, giving back to mental health issues because he never saw that sign.
Yeah, but even recently, the Helen show, the DJ,
Oh my God, Twitch
was
Twitch.
on TikTok with him family.
Yes, his
a
wife.
few days.
No, the day before. The
A
literal
day before or something.
committing
doing
suicide.
Still can step up tonight.
Yes,
Waiting time. And then
he
the
committed
same
suicide.
Twitch committed suicide.
And
Less than 24 hours.
And one of the things I read is that he's always had depression, but because he had that platform with Ellen,
He could just create
Expressing-
no, it's not even express, but create a farce. He created a face.
Yes.
As though everything is okay.
So when that
and
show
Carlene,
finished,
I'm going to say this to you. You would be surprised at the myriads of people in public life, entertainment life, that after them stand up in parliament, them take off the mask there, and them the cry and the torture that they face. You see, entertainers, and that's why I have to big up Lisa Hyper now.
Yes,
that has
big her
come
up.
out and she's speaking about what
she
she's-
checked herself into War 21.
She checked herself
She
into
checked
War
herself.
21.
She recognized and knew she wanted to.
I'm
not-
going to say this to you, Carlene. War 21 was my best experience. You see it like Andre what? Ward 21
No, I can.
was
follow
my
it.
best experience. I could just sit and analyze my mind. I could talk back to people who understand something that I'm saying, and I could draw it. I could just sit down and sleep and wake up and tell a nurse my dream, and them help me interpret the dream. I would just...
You weren't judged.
I would go in front. I remember Dr. Sapphire Longmore. Blessings of Senator Longmore, even though I know you're still vexed with me, but I love you still. She was my psychiatrist, and one day she heard my voice and she said, "What is Andre Stevens doing here?"
Where?
At work. She never knew.
At War 21.
She never knew I was there, and she was going to do a ward run with the students. And she said, "Andre, what are you doing here?" And I remember I said, "But doc, Dr. Abel locked me down." So she said, "What? And I don't know that you're here." I said, "Well, doc, you know, no, rescue me, please." And that was the first day after about 2 months of coming out of Ward 21 and going upstairs. And I remembered in front of about 100 medical students, I started to share what happened to me, how I get here. And the whole class turned like a Titanic, everybody a ball. They were literally crying to say, "You have such a beautiful mind, and how could you be here?" And I'm saying, if you're not coming out War 21, all are we in here bright. I pay brilliant souls in there.
Usually two.
Pay brilliant souls.
So-
And I saying to myself, wow. And I am saying, how many souls can be saved just through treatment, Carlene?
And not only treatment, people that cares. Because it's one thing for you to get there. How did you get to War 21? Who took you? Did somebody take
A
you?
family member. Like, the time, my uncle, big up Uncle Ricky.
Big up Uncle Ricky.
I remember I went to church this Sunday. And church I got pray for me and in a Holy Spirit and go on with
Dash some water
themselves.
upon your holy water.
And ta 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 ta. But then I literally after church was continuously speaking about the things that I experienced in Halfway Tree. So my uncle was like, "No, Andre, it can't be that bad." So him look at my mother, and my mother say, "All right, me could just carry him go a UA the night
Check him out.
for just because I was in a lot of pain. I was see all marks by my foot where them tried chop me the night, and Carlene, I went through some.
Who tried chop you?
We can't even talk about
Okay.
that.
We'll do that next
But
week.
when it happened, people were like, "No, Andre." So when they carried me to at the emergency ward, emergency room, I started to talk to the doctor, but I could interpret everything that was happening around me. So me I tell you, so my brain, Carla, my brain a speed faster than Usain Bolt. Me could have tell them what happened. Me could have give them the diagnosis. Me could have say that happened to the patient. And the doctors were like, how he knows this? But I could literally sit and tell them, Carlene, what, and they're, me I know nothing about medicine, Carla, and I tell them, say, why you not giving that diagnosis? Why you not doing, and they were like, this no normal. So Carlene, A doctor came to me who is a very good friend from the university and said, shut your mouth. Shut up. I said, but... And he has been the closest to me of all people to date. I'm like, Dre, you don't know what you're doing here. Shut up. And me, I said, but what are you doing? But Carlene are literally walking around and
Analyzing everything.
analyzing. I remember there was a woman that her stomach was fully impregnated, but they're saying they don't know what is there. But there was a spiritual meaning to that woman. And I said to them, if you not administer any kind of IV or anything, it's not going to work. Release the woman, let she go to her ancestors. Who tell me if I forgot to say that?
I'm saying, give my injection.
Carlene, they literally put me on the bed,
And tie it out.
time it. Literally, you know, them said to me, them time it right there, so up here, so.
Yeah.
And my uncle start cry, won't not do this to him for? Won't not do this to him for? We never carry him here for this reach him. So my uncle, which is so macho and masculine, start ball. My mother, she can't deal with them something, so she decides that she'll go home. Because she can't see me in that state here.
Right,
where,
right.
And I said to myself, boy, but I remember the woman was literally beside me. I'm a friend of one of the nurses. I say, nurse, I want pee-pee. Never really want pee-pee in a Carlene. But I tell her, I want pee-pee. Because it's like the spirits were talking to me that the woman needed to be released. And when I pass, I touch her and say, woman, you're released. Carlene, a 9-month-old belly in less than 5 minutes.
She had a baby.
It wasn't a baby.
What? Yeah, what?
So, there are some experiences that Carla might understand what I'm saying, but there are some experiences that you can't really explain, Carlene. But spirits in the physical realm
Yes.
and in the mental realm, there are things that happen that are abnormal.
Right.
That you
Right.
can't really explain it, but I remember somebody looked at me
But
and
what happened to her?
she died.
Okay.
She died. But I remembered when all of that happened, one of the doctors were saying that this is some serious spiritual meaning. And at that time, that is when they all pulled me and say, him have to go around here.
To what, 21?
Him have to go. I remembered like they pulled some doctors from as far as Bahamas to start sitting me down and start analyzing what am I interpreting. What am I saying? Because, Carlene, my visions were deep. To the point that I was saying that, you know that, I remember when I said this in our ward round, the great Professor Abel,
Dr. Abel, good night.
greetings, Sir Abel, said, no, this one is too unique. And I'm saying, Jamaica has a potential to be greater than Dubai.
Oh, yes.
And him say, what do you mean by that? And Carla, I started to paint to them and sketch to them what I meant by this. And them are like, how you reach here, sir? How you come up with this? And from there, I could not leave. And the more is one doctor, I can't even call the doctor's name. She said, the more you talk, you won't leave here.
Yeah, because they're having, you know, as double mud.
The more you talk, you're not going to leave this building. She said to me, Andre, sleep. I said, what do you mean? She said, if you want to be out here in the next 2 weeks, sleep. So what she did, she increased my dosage for me to sleep.
And they shut your mouth.
She just said, shut up. She said, I can't see you experience anymore this torture. Shut up.
Carla, how is this has, you know, in the workplace? How does mental, you know, emotional intelligence relates to the workplace and mental health, of course, in the workplace.
Yeah. It's a
Public
great
figures,
question.
entertainment industry, political people,
Yeah.
doctors, the whole of it.
I think that emotional intelligence is something that is lacking overall because it's something that we don't necessarily spend that much time developing. And as Andre said earlier, when it comes down to men, there's even less time spent on developing that because we don't think of it as a priority.
True.
And so what happens is we carry all of our biases, all of our issues, we carry our whole selves into the workplace. A person will spend about a third of their lives in the workplace, right? Depending on the job, if you understand.
Yes.
So we carry all of that into the workplace and we just kind of dash it out in the middle of the floor and then everything bungle up into one place. One of the key things, if you want to have a healthy workspace, is building emotional intelligence, but that takes work. And I mean, as a trainer, like this is something that I design programs for to help people to build emotional intelligence. When you're talking in the Caribbean context, when you're talking in the Jamaican context, right? And this is something that's also linked back to mental health. You see, shame is one of the main blockers of emotional intelligence in the Jamaican context.
Yes.
We are ashamed of various things about ourselves, and there are so many things that we know we can be shamed for. And so it's almost like we're constantly defending and also keeping people as far away from us as possible because we don't want to experience that feeling of shame. And that is tripled when it's somebody who is living with a mental health condition. I have been afraid to admit to the fact that my depression is as bad as it is, even though I speak publicly about it, because I'm worried that people won't work with me anymore. Right. I'm worried that people won't trust me with their projects anymore.
And I have had a friend who was going to be employed at a top marketing agency in Jamaica. And somebody knew she was going to get the job. And somebody knew she was going to get the job. And the person linked the CEO and said, "Don't you know that person has a mental health history?"
And what happened?
Right, that's so.
Right, no, get a job.
The person believed that they're going to get a pinnacle in them marketing career right now. And that woman used the mental health story to tell the girl, the young lady, "You're not fit to be with this company." And you know the worst part of it is, she could have denied the story. She could have, find ways to cover it. But she was open to them to say, "Yes, I had this issue and I spent some time at Ward 21. It's a stigma and discrimination in a corporate Jamaica and evening public life. We need to get over it. True. Because Carlene, 4 in every 10 Jamaican suffers from mental health. But I will say it's not 4. I believe it's 7 right? out of 10 suffer from mental health struggles. True. We don't want to admit it.
No.
But it's the truth, because the 4 out of the 10 are those who are diagnosed. Exactly. What about the many who are not diagnosed? True. Because we do not have the spaces and the infrastructure and the money to get proper diagnosis. Right. So what about, and out of the 4 out of the 10 who are diagnosed, how many of them are on medication?
True.
How many of them are doing follow-ups, doing visits, doing therapy?
Going into
and out of the 4 out of the 10, 1 or out of that 4, 1 is doing it, or possibly none. So it means that we have a country where mental health
mad
issues.
People.
Listen, man.
Listen, Andre, part of it too is why we're so violent.
I will make this point.
When Andre make that point, I want to come back to the violence one.
No, it's all right.
But I want to ask you a question. And I'm going to remind Jamaica. In November, when a man decided to take up a bat or a piece of stick and tell everybody lift up. And in the same time, a member of the media fraternity could glorify and carry the man there and give them a bat. It means that
And give him an award.
an award.
An award.
It put me in a one state where me question for say, but wait, is the man the one who have a mental health struggle, or is a case that
Why?
the presenter equally struggling from
Something.
but not get prescription? But then it said to myself, Carlene, the whole Jamaica have a situation, you know. Or majority of Jamaica has a situation where we're not dealing with the issues of mental health. True. All right. We have so many stations in Jamaica. We have so many media fraternities in Jamaica. But we're not seeing nobody give a focus weekly on the signs that we must look at for deal with depression. We're not talk about mental health in a way that it's, you know, like them talk about holistic development and holistic lifestyle, Carla. We're not talking about holistic lifestyle and adding the issue of mental health and treatment. When you see these signs, how do you respond? May I tell you, the amount of men in our country who are suffering from chronic depression.
And women.
And children.
Yes.
And we have nobody saying, boy, this issue needs a national priority.
And
Carlene, remember, one of the reasons why our crime situation is so much out of hand is because many of those who commit crime suffer from trauma. Suffer from childhood experiences that places them in a position that when they get angry, they just snap. And when they snap, they don't know how to control it. Have we, Carlene, as a country and as a people, look on a national psychiatrist or psychologist that is a part of doing a plan for crime? At that table that you're discussing a crime plan, is mental health taking precedence and focus?
No, I don't think so. I don't know because I'm not there,
All
but
right,
I just
Carlene,
don't think so.
with about the people who are being reintroduced into society, those who are coming from the prison system, are those people being analyzed to say whether or not they're fit to go back into society when they need interventions? And
I don't think there's no
remember, you know, after 20 years, 30 years, you know, you're in a one space. You go back out in a society. Is the resocializing efforts being done to put back that person there?
True. Carla, don't lose your point. You were saying something too.
Yeah, so on that point where it relates to violence, and, you know, Andre kind of brought it up with trauma, a lot of the things that we think of the traditional Jamaican personality are actually the secondary symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder.
True.
So people who experience
aggressive.
PTSD, they tend to be hypervigilant, they tend to have very low trust. And, you know, Jamaicans don't trust. There's a way that they can get very aggressive very easily. And when we talk about, you know, how many Jamaicans are living with mental health conditions, if we should focus in on PTSD as a mental health condition, widespread, because how can you live in a country where almost everybody knows somebody who has been a victim of robbery, knows somebody who has been attacked, knows somebody who has been killed? Like, I sat down and I did the math on the number of people I know who have been killed the other day, and it's wild. Why should one person know so many people who have been killed, right? That have to be affecting us mentally. But because on a cultural level, there are so many people who are in the same way, what we say is, oh, this is just how Jamaicans are. And this is not me saying that everything about the Jamaican personality is
them
PTSD.
ignorant, them dark, them not have no, because they have mental issues. As I was telling Daniela earlier on, it starts, as Andre say, from Yay High. So you have a child in school who can't read, and instead of the mother figure out why this child can't read, they beat the child. By this child probably dyslexic, you know, or some other trauma to the brain. And instead of saying, okay, let us see what's wrong, they beat the child. Secondly, him him can't keep still, him iPod, you beat the child. Him just lie. Because him can't really tell you the truth. Then
Yeah.
he goes around and he's not keeping still. Jesus, I don't know. Him just fidgety because
In
and
bad.
then you have another set of people who understands these things and take the child. Oh, everything on our follow America and don't want to get them pill for everything. Them
Yeah.
pill for this. No, I don't. And I'm saying to parents who thinks that the child don't need pill, stop.
Yeah.
If the child has a
Chemical imbalance.
if the child has a infection, asthma, kidney, cancer, diabetes, a cut, you give this child the medication that the child need until it's done.
Yeah.
Right? He gets up every day. Oh, you know him need worm medicine, him need vitamins.
Yeah.
You give this child Tylenol children for temperature. You freely give this child, but the child will need a pill to stabilize his brains. That's
Yeah.
not functioning as you
Because
so-called
of the
say, regular,
imbalances.
right, as a regular person. And you're going to say, oh, I don't want him to.
Mad pill.
No, I don't want him to be addicted to it. I don't want him can't function without it. I gave my daughter pills. She has ADD, attention deficit disorder. And when she was about to get to exams, I recognized that she was definitely special and different to me. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to chance that our little signs. Yes, everybody should be unique in their own way, but that uniqueness can be too much. So when she goes to class and the teacher sends home a report that says, oh, she didn't do X. And then I take her and I question her and she answers everything on the paper. I started looking, and this is at the age of 2. And then I'm watching the different little things that she would do. She would hug everybody in my family when she's coming to hug you when she was little, if your foot moving up. Because she has step on. And I'm saying, okay. So I got first to take her eyes to see if it was that she couldn't see properly.
Yeah.
Nothing was wrong with her eyes.
Yeah.
So at 7, I said, okay, I'm watching it. And I saw that she loved to play by herself. Don't care if she had 40,000 people there. Not that I was not okay with it, but I just knew something was a little different.
Yeah.
I took her to Dr. Shetty as a young child. Oh, nothing no wrong. I said, that's okay. Nothing is wrong. But I'm going to make sure nothing is wrong. Oh, she just learned different, clearly. So when you're going to put back my child in a class because she can't keep up, when you don't know what, and I want to big up Creative Kids and ADK Homes for recognizing that nothing was wrong with her learning. It's just a method in how she learns. And we started to see the signs, and I went to therapy with her and learned how to deal with it. She's functional, quite able. When it came down to time for exam, she got jittery and very nervous. And as I said, ADD is attention deficit disorder, so she wouldn't stay still. So if you're not staying still, you're going to miss something. And Dr. Shetty said, listen, let's try her. And I know most parents. I said, Dr. Shetty, I'm not most parents. I want best for my child. And whatever that's going to take, I'm going to do it. And they put her on Concerta for a moment, for a year and a half. And I'll tell you, that was my best friend. My child went from the 60s and 50s right up to 90s and 100s when it came to exams, because the school made sure Crystal used to get 100s in spelling, that they didn't think mathematics 100, that they didn't think a AD or R level could do. But as I said, the school that she went to, Creative Kids Learning Academy, understood how to take her. First of all, she had to sit next to every teacher. That was one of the criteria. So they could pay attention to her. But that was a small private school. So as you're saying, a classroom at 40 with one teacher, there's no way that's possible. Okay? So this is where you as a parent must understand. It starts with that child. No, I left that child. My daughter is in University of the West Indies.
See it there?
Where she wouldn't have been if I left her
Unattended.
Exactly.
I made sure of all the signs that I knew. It comes with a motor skill, so she takes longer to learn certain things. But when she grasps it, she swam, she ran,
Do bodybuilding.
no go do bodybuilding last year. And
Yeah.
so she understands because of how long she's been taught to manage herself. She knows. And days, as you're talking about the depression, because she's a very loving, tender, caring child. So there's days when things happen around her and she don't know how to manage it. But because I'm that person for her, she comes and she said, and I said, ball.
Let
And
it
two,
out.
if you don't take too long, me ball with you. So you have to have that support person. It don't must be your mother or your father or your brother or your sister, but someone who definitely cares.
Yeah.
And stop taking children that they should be like everybody. Or because they're
The
not like
universal
everybody,
accepted standard.
you're going to think, oh, I'm just rude. No. Sometimes the rudeness starts from something in the brains that's off.
The
Yeah.
imbalances.
Yes.
And I reach out to tell this because my mother also suffered from mental illness. And as a child, I did not understand. Well, 40 years ago, mental illness
Yeah.
was spoken about.
Spoken about in
Like
Yeah.
how, as at the time,
Yeah.
the only place was Bellevue. And when you
Yeah.
went down to Bellevue to see what, it was traumatizing. So it was like embarrassing, not understanding
True.
that this is something wrong. But as I grew, because she was still so loving, and every chance I
Yeah.
got to
what,
be with
what
her,
mental health struggle she had?
she had bipolar, she had schizophrenia, and something else.
Wow.
Yeah. And so my big sister Lorraine, Corona, and Janet stood the test of understanding
Yeah.
what it meant to get my mother so she could manage her younger children.
Yeah.
And so we understood by just giving her the pills. Still never understand all of this. It was just
Just know
inject
so
her.
that must get.
And
a
she
particular time.
understand that she
Yeah.
had to take her pills to function. Mark you, it came with a lot more than how
Yeah,
I'm
but
saying.
then I think one of the other things that I believe we're doing wrong is the administration of medication in Jamaica. Many of the medication that them giving our community, it slow them down. It make them look like zombie. It
can't
treat
function
them
out,
like
not
I
function out.
remembered when Ward 21 said I need to stop coming to Ward 21 and go to Greater Portmore Clinic to just get my every 6 weeks review. Carlene, I went 1 week and I took the medication. And I was just,
Jittery.
and it slowed me down. And my friend looked at me and she said to me, Andre, something wrong. What? And then I took it back the other time. And then my friend said, I want your family tell you go take it. May you go over KFC, spend some time, and then come back. And from there, so, not taking that Cogentina whatsoever them say it be. I don't remember where it be. But that injection created me like a zombie. And Carlene, I believe they are not doing personal care
Right, they're just
and one-on-one
generalizing.
and putting a case of what that person needs.
Generalizing.
Everybody I get to see
Same
him
thing.
injection.
Yeah, which can't be.
Everybody I get to see him therapy, medication.
Yeah, which
How
can't
can
be.
third world drugs don't fix the situation?
Yeah.
You can't just get up and say, 40 people, so you have 40 of that injection to give it. That is mashing up the people them.
Yeah, because
and that is what
I am mad is not necessarily you're
and
mad.
therefore,
and I'm just
Carlene,
being saying
that
it
is
right.
one of the reasons why a lot of people who suffer from mental health
illness
are
don't
afraid
fix
to
it.
go to the clinics to take
True.
the medication because
Yeah.
the medication puts them at a point where it further puts them in trauma. Because
True.
even in taking the medication, you hear additional voices. You fight within yourself. When you dream, when you do this, come on, Carlene. We as a society need to appreciate that more needs to be done. So the medication and the application of healthcare and medication in Jamaica needs to be fixed.
Yes.
So you can't just go to one clinic every 6 weeks
Yeah.
and it is not improving the person.
It's not
It
to
is
stop
like
pregnancy.
you are putting in further drugs that is going to slow down the system and worsen the person. I will have to fix that. Christopherton, Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, una have to look upon the administering of medication. Too many people are getting high dosage. Remember, say, Carlene, they're not even doing a point where they must say to themselves, say, you know, say, that 1 year so not bad. So probably me can take it down by 1/2 milligram or so. Them I look and say, you know what? Me go still, everybody I get 500 milligram. Oh, somebody when not at certain stage I get
I try mash down the place, and me who just a walk and I talk to myself.
I have
get
seen
the same.
people, Carlene, I have witnessed people who have just probably a stage of depression.
Yeah.
Go on to those clinics and in a year time they turn literally mad people.
Yeah.
So we need to look at how we administer medication at our clinics and our mental health institutions.
And
I'm very upbeat about it because I've seen too many people gotten worse off than what they should be. So it means that, Carlene, if me not have money for see one therapy,
doom.
Me doom.
Yeah. Just
And that cannot be the situation.
Now make you think you're mad, so you start behaving like you're mad.
So imagine if I never had those friends, Carlene, and that support system to say, all right, Andre, when if you go a clinic every 6 weeks, me and you are going to spend some time at KFC or Burger King or
just
something.
To calm you down.
Just to spend off some time. Probably I would have not been here today. I would have officially turned one of those people who are homeless, who they somewhere and they coming up. No, it is really wrong. I'm have to talk about it.
And you know, to the heads of that's been, it's good to try and put these things. They have like what do you call them in school? Those guidance counselors, right? Mm-hmm. But a lot of them aren't trained for mental issues. A lot of them aren't trained to look at a child to say, okay, this child has something wrong. Okay, this child behavior is, the child has to reach to them. Mm-hmm. It's not them reach to the children. The children has to go to them. So I think in school they should start with putting in things, you know, even on a once a month basis. I know we're a third world country and there's a lot of things, but our future starts with mental health. This is why we're dysfunctional. This is why the crime, as Andre said earlier, we just kill each other. You step on a man's toe and him stab you up.
A part of what they're doing with this NIDS project, this NIDS project should be focusing on giving in all Jamaicans or most Jamaicans their individual identity. I think one thing that they need to look at is seeing to it that this mental health stability of each Jamaican is known on that NIDS certificate, so that it's something to explore, something that we need to look at, because at the end of the day, Carly, disagree?
Absolutely. Because the only way you can do that is if the stigma associated with mental health has ended. Otherwise, what happens is a person's mental health status, which can be something that's used to stigmatize them, is A, on their identification, and B, can be leaked.
Can I push back on that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
If it is that, based on what we are arguing, is that majority Jamaicans are suffering from one mental health issue or
another. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're going to discriminate when everybody know, you analyze, say, all away, if not, most if not all, suffer from a mental health. But it then will drive government policies to assist in improving the situation in the country. But that is just an argument. I'm just saying, Kyle.
So but
remember, this too, that's our opinion. A lot, as you said, out of the 10, one might be tested. So although we're crazy in our own way or have mental issues happening, we're not assessed.
Yeah.
You know, we're undiagnosed.
Something being popular does not mean that it is accepted.
Exactly.
There's a difference between something being high in terms of the majority and being accepted.
We might get there, though, you know. We might get there.
I will concede to you, Kyla, but in the real world or the idealistic society that we'd want is that we would want most, if not all, Jamaicans to know their mental health status.
Of course,
Equally as
of
we should know our
course.
HIV status.
Yes, you're
so that as a
correct.
country, we can plan in an effective way so
Would you
that
ask
Jamaica
people
can
to
be
put their
better off.
HIV status on the NIDS card?
Huh?
Would you ask people to put their HIV status on the NIDS card?
Issues
No.
of confidentiality.
No,
Right.
because
Yeah.
you understand
I would want
that
them
there
to
is
get.
stigma. That's
I would want them to
get
get.
there.
I would want them to get tested in the sense of knowing who is going through what.
Yeah,
but
but
it's private. It's your business. Like your blood type, and not only if you go to the hospital or in crash or whatever.
But Carla, I will discuss that one day in future with you about how I believe the needs could work in the benefit of a homogeneous society. So
if we're all tested
Yeah.
and it's analyzed, because if we're not, as she said, you're gonna be penalized for it. You're not gonna get. Andre, if I so think I'm normal and sober, and there's a man who's of mental, remember, the stigma to this goes from 8 to 100. So I could be here and I go step on your toe or tell you something wrong, and you stab me up and kill me.
True.
Right? So it has its benefits, and we're gonna try. But we're gonna throw to some voice notes and hear.
Mental health. What need to be done? Talk to somebody. Reach out to somebody, and somebody professional with mental health issues. Like me, I had my issues and I had to speak to someone because I had a lot bottled up inside. So I went and saw a psychiatrist. I am now fully certified. Yes, if you will trigger me off, I will snap. I got my certificate. Hello. Oh,
Yo, I lost my virginity to a girl that I didn't even care about at the time. Sometimes I don't even remember her name. You know why? Because around that time I was going through a very difficult time, especially with my mental health and well-being. I wasn't feeling so good, I was very depressed, and I ended up losing something that was so important to me to somebody who I didn't care about. And it just made me realize that when we're not in a good state of mind, we just might do things that we wouldn't have otherwise done if we were in a better headspace.
Okay, so if my mental headspace is bad, then that automatically affects how I interact with people. It's usually in a bland way, or I don't want to relate to them at all. I think negatively of them, or I think that they're attacking me. I internalize things. I want to be by myself. I draw away from persons if my mental headspace is in a bad space. However, if it's in a good space, it's the opposite. I'm more interactive. I think different. I think positively of persons. I'm more open to conversation, and I'm more understanding, patient, and so forth. Yeah, so it pretty much affects how I interact with people on a deep level.
life. There is nothing wrong with life. And there, if you have problem, Ray and nephew. Yes, Ray and nephew. When you wake up, you deal with it.
Help me, Oja.
I know, right? And that's also, I'm happy he said that, because a lot of persons don't understand the danger of drugs, cigarettes, marijuana, pills, and alcohol. When
Yes.
you have an imbalance in your brains, especially when you don't know, this only makes matters worse. When you
Yes, it
do
does.
know and thinking you can manage it because of whatever feeling it gives, then it gives you the long-term effects
Yes.
of sending mental illness to another level. So some
Yes.
people think they're functional, or they smoke ganja. Ganja being our most popular one here. And I'll say 90% of who smokes ganja shouldn't.
Can't
There's a
manage
fair
it.
amount of
No,
people
brain
who
can't manage
can.
it. And they think they're okay. And if you're onto something where you can't function without it, something is wrong with that.
Yeah,
True.
and I mean it's how you use it, right? Because we can't overlook the fact that weed is a useful treatment for anxiety. So for
Not
people
to
who has
smoke.
have anxiety,
It's not to
well,
smoke.
some people will use the oils and some people will smoke it for anxiety, and it
It
will
is
help
fixing
them.
it is fixing anxiety so called, but creating anxiety. It should not be smoked. And people
It
that
can
have
cause other problems. Yeah,
exactly people who have imbalance in their head thinking it's okay until
yeah,
somebody who is looking on the inside understands, who is not being judgmental. Because sometimes we shut down because people are attacking you in the way that. So I'm
yeah.
telling you, please,
And
guys.
I think a lot of people don't know that alcohol actually increases the symptoms of depression.
Oh yes, when it's wearing out.
Yeah, it actually does.
Yeah, but you
So
see,
if you're depressed and you drink, you're actually going to feel more depressed. You will escape your mind for a while, but the symptoms are going to increase. And that's why um, it can kind of add on to other things that people are doing because they're
and
depressed. So
lead
for
to and
instance,
lead
some
to
people,
alcoholism because they're trying to.
yeah,
always escape.
Yes, so
yeah,
they can't come to being sober because it
yeah.
is
I've
too
been
much.
drinking rum for the past 5 days. Did
Days,
you
did you
check
check
on me?
on me? You never check on me.
You never check
So, and
on
there
Oh,
are a
so
me.
lot of
honey, how
people
comes we don't know
who
that song there?
It's the
I
latest
don't
song that is
know.
all over, right, Carla? And
Yes,
it
yes,
speaks
yes.
so much on the issue of depression and using alcohol as the gateway and using it to, 5 days
You're
of
using it
alcohol
as a
non-stop.
coping
Mighty
mechanism, but it's
God.
not serving you. It's not serving you in the long
It
run.
is a serious issue. But then one of the voice notes that really appalled me was the guy said that he had sex with the person for the first time and never even knew her name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because he did it out of where the space that he was in, and then
yeah.
lived to regret it
And
because.
then when you look at it, a
And this
lot
is a
of
man,
a
because
But
lot of
people tend to think it only would
hypersexuality,
affect a girl.
and I've known
no.
people who say, boy, them stress out and them need to just go link a night nurse for go get ahead or go get this and it lead to other things. And boy, you have people who have engaged in illicit sexual activities to the point them just go a archie party, go take Molly, go take them something to get high. It is the truth.
Hypersexuality is actually a symptom of depression, especially in men, and people miss
Hypersexuality.
it. Yeah, so you're having sex with a lot of partners, and
That
because when
means
people are
nothing to you.
depressed, sometimes their risk-taking behaviors increase. A lot of times they're doing it without protection. Also, for people who are bipolar, when they're manic, a lot of times when people are manic, they will have sex with a lot of different partners. And sometimes people don't know that. So sometimes you will see a man out there and people will say anything in pass him lick it down. Every
Yeah.
fractal him have to run it down. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually a symptom of depression. Or the person is having a manic phase of their bipolar disorder.
Yeah, and
But
and
we
think of
can't
it.
help people if we judge them.
Oh, I have another voice note.
Yeah.
DJ Hastan attack too, no? Yeah. That topic they wanna depend is a serious topic, man. Wanna depend a serious topic, You see it? Wanna depend a serious topic, serious topic. Mental health issues are dangerous thing, cause me nah hide it, Me I suffer from it, You understand? But when me tell you who me control, me is a man, me control it. Cause it's a something like this, make you want to pre-suicide, Yeah. And anybody say anything to me, whether I just pay abusive word me I tell them, I mean, I care what me, You understand? So I tell you something. Mental health issues are dangerous thing, brother. Yeah. Yeah, man, it's a dangerous something. Yeah. Sickness. A sickness, And it's something we're not going away. Or something we're born with. Yeah. So,
I think I saw something I think it was Jamaica Constabulary Force to put out something, and I don't want to misquote them because I don't remember the figure, but I think they said that in the month of November, there were 13 suicides in Jamaica.
Yes.
That's
What
frightening.
resources do we have? What can we tell to you see, like that man who called, sent us a
Yeah.
voice note? What are our help towards them? What advice, what can be done? What should be done and
Um,
what can be done?
so
13 suicide in a month is
it's
really,
a very
and
long
remember,
time.
this is only that's what's reported.
That's just
There's
what's
there's
reported.
cases that we're not hearing of.
Yeah. Um,
Children.
as somebody who has been suicidal at various points in my life, to somebody like that man, what I would say is, I know a lot of times we tell people it gets better, and it feel like foolishness when somebody's saying it to you, especially when you're in the valley. But it actually does get better. And what I always say to myself is, do not make a decision in your darkest hour that's going to prevent you from getting back to any form of light. You know, don't make a final decision in that, like, bawl out, scream, reach out for help, whatever it is that you have to do. Make other people uncomfortable by telling them what you're feeling. Do not hold it in your chest, and carry it in your belly. Right? In Jamaica, we do have a suicide hotline, which is it was this doubling as the COVID-19 hotline, which is the 888 New Lifeline through the Ministry of Health. So it's 888-639-5433. It operates 24 hours a day, so you can call them. There is also an organization called Choose Life International, and they focus on doing work around people who are dealing with suicidal ideation. They're on Haining Road in Kingston. Their number is 920-7924. That's 920-7924. Most health facilities in Jamaica will have mental health days. Unfortunately, because our public health facilities are under-resourced in many areas, you can't tell your mental breakdown for wait till Wednesday because
Right.
the mental health day are Wednesday,
Right.
right? But then there's usually an emergency line that you can get. There is an organization in Jamaica called JAMHAN, the Jamaican Mental Health Advocacy Network, and they have made a post on their Instagram with all of the mental health days of all of the public health facilities in Jamaica. And you can find them on Instagram at jamhan_JA. So that's JAMHAN_JA.
Awesome.
And
Thank you for that literature, Kyla.
you know of
You're
any
welcome.
help?
Well, I really don't know of much except the people who that if I should be triggered, I call on them. That's important too.
Are you taking any medication now?
Presently, I'm not.
Okay.
I've been off medication for a while, but if I see the signs, I know to call my doctor and she will give me I have drugs, that if it comes, I can take that one, but right now, I'm off it.
And how are you feeling right now?
I'm amazingly awesome, and I just keep being the best version of me.
Can you tell me what your remedy is? Why you're amazingly awesome?
I speak my truth. Cost it what it will. And just be transparent enough with my life that if I have this situation, find that way to fix it. So I'm always looking at situations that affect me and just putting mitigation strategies in place to fix them. So right now I need to fix my issue with my diabetes. I know I need to focus on more exercise, a little bit more rest, and making sure that my oral medication is being taken on time, and to the point that I really want to go into a holistic lifestyle that I can one day say I'm totally off these things. Because
Do you want to find love?
love, my opinion on love is
A partner love?
if it comes, it comes, but it's not high on the agenda. because I think my mission right now is to focus on bringing awareness on social justice and issues. So I think at one point of my life, and many times I feel lonely, but when I do feel lonely, Netflix is there. I go
And you
chat
go on
with
the
a friend
internet.
here, there, and then we're good to go.
I also want to tell people it's very important to have a support system. It does not have to be family. It can be friends. It can be professionals. As Carla read out a few numbers and names to places, reach out to somebody. Please stop being macho for the men, especially, and thinking that this is not happening. It's happening to a lot of people, more than we can imagine, more than we knows. For the female, please stop judging your friends and thinking that, you know, she's different from you, so that means she's wrong or off. Look into her being different from you and see how best you can support her. Because women tend to tear down other women and don't understand what that tear down does. Family, if you know of anybody with mental health in your family, don't chastise them. It takes a lot, and it will go on. Carla said for over 20 years for her, right? That's what she said, right? And
yeah.
she found way when she found medication. Andre said 6 years, and he found way to express himself, to entertain himself, and for the people around him to and also that the fact he went to Ward 21, it made him understood where he was, where he's going, and what next. So please stop being judgmental on each other, more to care about what a simple phone call or a note will go on social media's issues for the wrong reasons, to tear down each other. Send a love letter to somebody, or a very polite message. And if you don't like something that you see somebody else is doing, don't assume it. You can DM the person privately or call them privately and, you know, see why this is happening. Tell them how to get in touch with you, Andre. We're at the end of the show.
Well, you know, you can definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am Andre Stevens. You can find me on Instagram at I am Andre Stevens, or Facebook. My contact is 876-865-4587. I do a nightly show on YouTube, one of the most controversial shows on issues affecting Jamaica, the region, and the world. So if you want to get unfiltered truth, nobody
Facts.
can facts. Me now go off of hearsays. I try to bring what is best to the nation so that we can get justice. So join me tomorrow night, 8 p.m. on my YouTube channel. Awesome sauce.
Carla?
Yeah, you can find me on most social media at More Talk JA. That's MOORETALKJA. Or you can find me at moretalkja.com. And I just want to say one last thing as we're closing out is it's better for you to let go of the things and people that make you feel awful about your life than to let go of your life. And that's
true.
probably one of the most important messages I could ever give to you. Do not try to please other people to the point where you feel you need a permanent way out of what is a temporary situation. Disappoint them and set yourself free and go and live your life because you deserve it.
Well, I want to thank you both. Yes, it's 2 hours when we're having fun and learning and going along. You don't miss the time. But I want to thank you, Carla Moore and Andre Stevens, for being my very special guest today. Mental illness, something that affects my life daily. You know, I have friends, family members who suffer this, so I totally appreciate this experience from both of you. I want to thank my producer, Daniela Doyle. And I also want to big up my cute dread engineer, Kevin Williams. Thank you both. Sex on the Bridge. I will be here next week, Tuesday. Same time, same place. Crystal, mommy loves you. Ryan. Bye.